I really need a haircut, man. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Brandon, and welcome back to Murata Media. So, movie theaters are still closed, and it still really sucks. But thankfully, just last month in April, there were some brand new movies that were made available for stream, so I watched a couple of those, and today I'm going to be discussing my thoughts on those movies. And the first movie I watched was the Netflix original Coffee and Kareem. This is a buddy cop sort of movie about a police officer named James Coffey who's dating this new woman who has a son named Kareem who's not really fond of him. And when Kareem tries to set up Coffey by dealing with these gangsters, he ends up seeing something that he wasn't meant to see, and the two of them go on the run together. And let's just get it out of the way. This movie is terrible. Every single one of the characters is either overly annoying or completely incompetent. And let's start with Kareem. This kid is beyond annoying. But if your sense of humor boils down to, haha, children cursing, then you might like him. But if you have a much smarter sense of humor, then you'll probably grow to despise this kid. And when it comes to incompetency, Ed Helms' character James Coffey fits that description to a T. His character is basically just Andy Bernard as a cop. Because there's even a character that refers to him as J-Dog at one point, which seems like a very obvious reference to The Office. And if you've never seen The Office, Ed Helms' character Andy Bernard constantly refers to himself as Nard Dog. But I can't criticize him too much because he isn't the only one. Just about everybody else in this movie is a complete idiot. These are truthfully the most incompetent cops and criminals that I have ever seen in any movie. It truly is a miracle that any of them made it as far as they did. And aside from children cursing being the only type of humor that this movie contains, it also tries to make a lot of jokes about race and race relations. And as you guessed, almost all of them were completely unfunny and did not land at all. And since this is a buddy cop movie, it does have its fair share of action sequences, but the action is so lame and poorly directed. You can really tell that it's trying to parody other action movies just like it, but it tries way too hard to be absurd. And for example, almost every gunfight scene pulls that age-old action movie trope of slow motion, and it's so annoying. But easily Coffee and Kareem's biggest problem is its tone. This movie is very confused because I really don't know what it was trying to be. And after watching it, I truly believe that the filmmakers had no idea what they were going for either. Because the concept and the presentation comes off as if it could be a family-friendly buddy cop movie, but then at the very last second they decided to slap an R rating on it. And speaking positively, there were a few times where this movie did make me laugh, but overall it was just very forgettable. Yeah, this is just another really bad Netflix original. I'm gonna give Coffee and Kareem a 2 out of 10. And the movie that I watched after that was HBO's Bad Education. This movie originally premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in September, but it's just now getting a wide release on HBO. And Bad Education is the true story of the single largest public school embezzlement scandal in the history of the United States. And to be honest, I really wasn't familiar with this story at all. I had never heard of it at the time when it actually occurred, but I'm so glad that this movie was my introduction to it, because it's damn good. And the highlight of it is easily the acting from our two leads, played by Hugh Jackman and Allison Janney. And here's a hot take for you. This is Hugh Jackman's best performance in his entire career. Yes, better than Prisoners. Yes, better than Logan. Nothing against those movies because they're both great. Jackman just fits this character so well because his character is the superintendent of this school district and he's just an overall nice guy. When he enters the school every morning, he greets all the students. He knows all of them by name. He knows their families. He knows their hopes and dreams. He's truly the embodiment of everything that you want in an educator. And Allison Janney plays the assistant superintendent and she does a phenomenal job as well. The movie takes place in New York and she talks in that really stereotypical New York accent, but she pulls it off so well. But just out of curiosity, I looked up where she was from and found out that she was from Boston, so this accent probably comes off as easy to her. But nonetheless, she killed it, and this is one of my favorite performances from her. But right off the bat, we're immediately introduced to these characters, and the script really takes its time to introduce them and the conflict down the road. And I personally love that decision because I would have been really confused if we were just thrown in the middle of the conflict and left to figure out ourselves what had happened before that. And it really helps you sympathize and like these characters rather than if you were thrown in after it had already began. And for about the 20-30 minutes when we're getting to know them, it can be a little confusing because you could be asking yourself, okay, where is this heading? But believe me, it's worth it because Bad Education is so simple in its presentation, but it's so effective through things like its cinematography and its editing, both of which are nothing mind-blowing, but the style that they went for fits this story perfectly. The entire script feels so real, and the reason for that is because it was written by a man named Mike Makowski. No, not Mike Wazowski. And this guy was actually a student of the school when this scandal had first occurred, so who better to write it than someone who actually witnessed these events firsthand? And some of the events that occurred just feel so out there, but you remember that this is a true story. So obviously some things are going to be sensationalized just for the sake of entertainment, but nonetheless, this is a phenomenal movie. This is easily my favorite movie of the year so far. And overall, I would give Bad Education a 9 out of 10. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching my review of Coffee and Kareem and Bad Education. If you guys saw either of these movies, tell me what you thought about them. Comment down below, I would love to know. If you guys like this review, be sure to hit that thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I post my next review. If you want to see my past videos, those will be linked right over here. And other than that, hope you all have a tremendous rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.